Hey everybody, Stu Smith here going live. I hope you are well today, this Monday morning. I want you to remember you don't have to be here, you get to be here. So, welcome. Um, so I wrote this article this morning. Basically, are you really ready to serve? And trying to show people that regardless of what job you want to do in the military, it is up to you to specifically start preparing for what you're doing. And I even broke it down into sets of pairs because I get a lot of people that just, want to serve, but they don't know how they want to serve yet. They're interested in serving. Maybe they want to be Air Force or Navy or be a Marine or Army guy. They're just kind of all over the place. So in this article, it'll be up later today up on military.com, but it's called um, Successfully Navigating Military Boot Camps, Tips for Physical Readiness. So it's more of the physical side of the each branch, not really talking about spec ops preparation because that's a different level. And regardless of the service branch, it's all hard, but very similar: running, rucking, swimming, lifting, high rep calisthenics, all of those things. However, if you're just want to do a normal job in the military, let's say you want to be a military police officer, still physical, so you got to be physically prepared for that. Um, so I broke down the branches like this. So there's 6 branches of service. We'll start off with the Air Force and Space Force. They are near identical. In fact, right now there's no Space Force boot camp. You go to Air Force and you will graduate either as an Air Force airman or Space Force guardian. That's the way it works. Um, both of those jobs are very technical. The physical challenges there are not that great. Um, they're not easy, but they're not great. So if you go in there ill prepared, it's going to be very hard. If you go in there with a basic understanding of fitness, maybe you've worked out in high school, played a few sports, you're probably going to be ready to go, minus a few specifics of working on your plank and your mile and a half timed run, depending on your athletic history. But your athletic history can usually be what gets you through those trainings pretty well. Air Force, or sorry, Coast Guard and Navy are very similar. Um, and the main component there is water, right? That's going to be the differentiator between the different services, is that you also need to have some pool skills on top of a general fitness understanding and basic fitness. Like, it's not physically challenging compared to like spec ops prep, but once again, if you are moderate fitness guy or you're kind of a beginner, it can be very challenging for you. Water's a big component of that. And I tell people all the time, if you are preparing for Navy, Coast Guard, Marines too, because there's a big water component in the Marine Corps, if you're not able to swim, you are essentially ineffective in that world, right? 75% of the globe you will be ineffective on because you can't swim. And that will be playing in your head. If you're riding boats, you know, there's a chance you might be in the water one day, and that you don't want that to be a death sentence. So learn how to swim. It's a survival skill at a minimum. Um, and then the final one, Army and Marines, I put those two together because out of all the services, those are probably the hardest. They require a lot of running, they require rucking. Um, like I said, the Marine Corps has a little water component as well because they are largely amphibious. Army does too, but it's more of a survival component of swimming. Um, like, you fall into a river, you got all your gear on, you have to learn how to take all your gear off and come up so you live. Um, so uh, Those require a little extra conditioning and preparation. You go there as a beginner, you're going to get hurt. You have to be intermediate, advanced level to crush those courses. Then, each unit has its own spec ops level, which takes it to another level. And if you're not preparing for that, you're doing yourself a disservice, because all you really can do is get to the training and not through the training. So it's a good little article, kind of breaks it down, talks about the, some of the things that you need to do, like, uh, physically prepare, endurance, stamina, strength, all the tactical fitness elements. Another one is get a job. Get a job or go to school. Do something where you work all day or are working all day somehow, because I think a lot of people, work out, they go take a nap, they work out again, eat, chill out a little bit instead of just working all day, mixing in workouts here and there when you can. That will prepare you better for a long day in the military, um, than anything else, especially if it's somewhat a manual labor job, because there are no naps in boot camp, right? So you got to get used to that kind of long day on your feet, and it's exhausting, right? High rep calisthenics, obviously, muscle stamina, flexibility, mobility. You want to reduce the risk of injuries. Um, Here's another one, too. Everybody's really motivated to go serve, right? But that motivation has to evolve into discipline. And that's really what basic training is all about. Whether you're calling it basic training, basic combat training, basic military training, boot camp, whatever, you know, going in there motivated is going to be probably what everybody's doing. Everybody's motivated, but then that motivation has to evolve into creating good habits, discipline. Next thing you know, you're crushing boot camp. In a week, it feels like you've been there for a month, and you're in the zone. Lot of times that happens. Um, Final thing is overtraining, and overtraining is relative, right? If you go into Army boot camp, let's say, and you never run 2 miles before, never rucked, you're probably going to get injured really quick, maybe even rhabdo, or you'll break your shins with stress fractures. So that is an overuse injury because you are underprepared. So that is really the whole theme of this article, is don't be underprepared for what you're about to endure, because injury, failure to meet the standards, all of those things come into play, and it really makes your initial few months of your journey miserable. So everything, you can control all of that by working out hard now to prepare for what you're getting into. So I know for most people who are listening, I'm probably preaching to the choir, but this is one of those good articles that you can forward to people that say, "Hey, I want to go be an Army Ranger." Well, here's what you need to do to prepare for it. There's a lot more to it than just crushing a fitness test, right? All right. So I guess that's it there. Um, let's take some questions from you guys. Got some of you guys asking questions already. I appreciate. Welcome, Alex. Um, Good to see you today. Sam Baby Devil Murph is a devilish workout. True gut check. You know what? I love the Sam Baby Devil Murph. It is something I like to do, if not once a month, sometimes twice a month, just to just see how I do on it. And I still do it along with the guys. I tend not to do the all of the fireman carries. I'll probably like carry 100-pound bag instead of a 200-pound person, um, just because I don't feel like wrenching my back out, which I just did. Finally getting over it. Slipped on some ice last week, and all of last week sucked. But you know what helped me? Mobility days helped me so much. Like by Friday, Saturday, I was lifting again. Had to brace a little bit harder, because it's not 100%. I'd say it's probably about 75%. Able to run today. Wasn't able to sprint because that required a little bit more hip movement than I was ready to do. But mobility days saved the day for me. Should have been doing them earlier in the week. Probably would have been even quicker recovered. Um, but yeah, I digress. Sorry. But yeah, Sam Baby Devil Murph. If you have not seen that, Google it. It's a thing. In fact, I even have the official Sam Baby Devil Murph workout, and it has all the parameters in it. If you haven't seen it yet, it's just so fun. It's basically 3 workouts rolled into one. It's a log PT simulator. All the events that you do with a log: push press, squats, chest carry lunges, chest carry sit-ups, running with the sand baby, which is simulating a log, about 40-pound sandbag. Then there's a Murph. We mix that in with the log PT simulator. So basically, it looks like a Murph, plus you're adding all those other extra credit activities in there, and then you add a Devil's Mile to it. Even better. Mm, that's a good workout. One of my favorites. I think we created that one back in 2010. Over the years, been a good one. In fact, um, we're probably going to rename it and honor Chris Chambers with it. So he was one of the original recipients of the first Devil's Mile that we ever did way back in 2011, maybe 2012, somewhere around there. So stand by for that one. How much physical working out do guys actually get in Navy Basic, and how fast are they able to get back into shape when they're gone? This is a great question. Very little. In fact, last guys that just finished boot camp told me they ran a total of about uh, 12 miles in 10 weeks. So when you're used to running 25, 30 miles a week or more, that is a severe uh, decrease that is going to take you a couple of months to get back in shape again. But that's the beauty of it. Most of the spec ops programs after Navy boot camp and Air Force too, for that reason, are 8 to 12 weeks in length, and you'll have some time to get back into shape. But my advice is to go there in really good shape, and you can kind of use that first month of boot camp as a taper, and then you just slowly start adding in extra workouts before the day starts, before the night lights go out, you know or even after the lights go out, and you sneak in some lunges and things like that. My personal recommendation is just get some sleep and wake up early and get an extra, like an upper body day of burpees and push-ups, and if you can find a place to do pull-ups, door hinges, um, bathroom stalls, laundry bars. They hang laundry stuff. You might be able to find some pull-up places there. Sit-ups, flutter kicks, all those things, and then make a leg day where you're doing wall sits and squats and lunges, and just accumulate them throughout the day. Every time you go to the bathroom, crank out lunges and squats, right? Drop down, do push-ups, right? Do whatever you can whenever you can. Next thing you know, you've accumulated a couple hundred reps in the day, and you won't be as bad off doing it. But yeah, you got to add it in yourself and get creative. Started your free running pan for intermediate, and I have 1 mile and 6:30, aiming for 9-minute mile and a half. Want to ask if I should continue it, or is it not at my level yet? Goal is 6 minutes. Um, I mean, you're really close to it. I mean, I would say right there, it's just a matter of you running and maintaining that pace more. So any goal pace run workout you're going to do is going to be helpful. Um, my advice would be before you pick up any generic running plan, make sure it's fitting where you are. I usually try not to start beginner runners, off at more than 10 miles a week. Um, but if you're already running, you could probably manage 15 to 20 miles a week and then do that. Um, in fact, I have another run plan that's you need to build up to 20 miles a week. Let's see, 20-mile a week run plan, help you get to and through selection. So this is one of those kind of intermediate level running programs. I call intermediate. That's about 20 miles a week. And it focuses on your goal pace running. It gives you multiple goal pace events, has a little bit of, aerobic training in there as well, just to get your aerobic engine going. But it also has options. Instead of putting on extra miles of aerobic activity, you get some non-impact activity in there, because where a lot of people go wrong is they just start adding a lot of miles, slow miles, which is fine. Aerobic base building is part of the journey, but a lot of non-running athletes can't handle 20, 30 miles of aerobic base training just to build their aerobic base, where they should probably cut that in half and do, you know, whatever time that would have been to take you to run another 15, 20 miles a week, is do that on a bike or double your swim workouts just to get some non-impact cardio activity to help with that aerobic base training versus constant impact if you're not ready for it. Because unfortunately, a lot of non-running athletes who start running start getting foot pain, shin splints, knee tendonitis, and they wonder why they get it. And then they look at their volume and they're like, holy crap, you're doing 35 miles a week already? Why don't you drop it down to 15 and do 2/3 of your cardio as non-impact? So that's kind of where I come from with my running creation. I'm not arguing that you don't need an aerobic base. You need an aerobic base, but sometimes running may not be the best answer for you. Now, once you have gotten over all the aches and pains of beginner running, then you can start adding some long, slower distance running to your day and just, help with durability as well. Let's see. Would you recommend any of your programs for California State Ocean Lifeguard? Yeah, absolutely. I would. Holden. In fact, I just recommended some for a guy. My advice would be probably the Navy SEAL Phase One workout, um, which is pull ups, push ups, sit ups, running, swimming. You know, I think the last I read on the ocean lifeguard is you have like 1,000-meter swim you have to crush. But there's other activities you need to do, like carrying stretchers on the beach and running on the beach. So that workout's really designed for you getting after it on or near the water, mostly calisthenics. So I would go with that one for sure. Deion Sanders had Marines train his football team. Great video out there. Football players doing tactical athletics, 300-pound linemen doing buddy carries. Yeah, I think that's great. There's nothing wrong with, getting some tactical training if you're an athlete, because it's similar. It's not the same thing, but it does help instill some teamwork in there and relying on each other. Discipline. I think all of those are good things for athletic teams to also have, and sometimes that works for them, as long as they're not, doing too crazy of a thing. I see a bunch of high school kids with log PT, and I'm like, yeah, we don't need to do that. I just trained a whole bunch of high school lacrosse players, and we didn't touch a log. We did a lot of farmer walks. We did fireman carries. We did a lot of bear crawls. Did team drills. Everybody was a part of a like a 6-man team. So it was a lot of fun. You're only as fast as your slowest person. They had to strategize with that being part of the process. And then there were some individual events to see who could crush that. So I think all of it is great stuff. I enjoy doing that as well. Seth says, let me get this straight. You apply for SOAS in February. I will graduate with my bachelor's that May. If I get invited, I will attend SOAS in the summer. I think that's how it works for OCS. We had a guy who applied before he graduated. Most people are already graduated who are going OCS. So let's say they graduate in May and then they do all the paperwork starting in like October, November, because there's a lot of paperwork you got to do. So I wouldn't wait until February to get started because you're not going to finish because you got to get PSTs, you got to get letters of recommendations, you got to get medical reviews, which can take forever, especially if you got injured. You got to get waivers. So there's a whole lot of stuff to it. So you don't apply in February. You submit your application in February, fully completed, which will take you months. I think the fastest I've ever seen an officer candidate get his stuff in is he started in November. And I thought he was behind the power curve, and he barely got everything in because he had knee surgery that he had to get waivers for. And that took an extra like 6 weeks to get cleared for that. So, yes, but everything else you said is correct. You get invited to attend SOAS in the summer if you pass their initial qualifications. Find out that I get accepted sometime in September, October. Yes, that's how it works. If you succeed and get through SOAS and they like you, you will find out yes or no by probably October, maybe late September, early October. From there, you go to OCS. You don't go to basic training. OCS is basic training for officers. Then you go immediately to BUDS right after that. Not first phase BUDS. You go to prep. BUDS prep for about 8 to 12 weeks, and then you go to first phase. Does all that make sense, Seth? That is the journey. And they've been doing it that way since 2014. So 10 years now. And I think they're adding a week this year. Last I heard, they're going to do all the testing and everything like that. PSTs, get like the familiarization with the teams, and then they do a week of basically kind of like a hell week, which is very challenging. A lot of attrition occurs there. I think they lost 30 or 40% of the people. So they're, and then not everybody gets invited to do your performance in that week will be a plus or a negative for you to get invited to go do the interviews the last week. So that's how it works. And then if you pass the interviews, they like you, boom, you get to go to OCS, and then you go to BUDS right after OCS. So there you go. That's the journey. So tomorrow I will be back. We'll do our normal CSS critique show. So send me some CSSs. If you got a 50-meter swim you want me to critique, I'm happy to critique it. I got a whole bunch in the hopper. Just posted a new one today up on TikTok and Instagram. Pretty good one too. I like this one because he does two different things. On one side, like his weak side, he does a breaststroke kick, but on his strong side, he does a scissor kick. Absolutely. You can do it that way if you so choose. There's no rule saying you can't. Um, let's see. Let's see. I'm a second phase pool comp bud stud. I hate that term, bud stud. You failed. That's okay. We're human. We all fail. You know, you're not who you are because you failed, right? Get that out of your head, right? I'm about to start SARC pipeline. I like that. So you're a SARC recruit. Nothing wrong with that. That's hardcore, man. You're gonna have to go through recon training. Got to go through that recon screener, which is no joke. You think a 500-yard swim test, um, to get into buds was easy? Try it for recon because you're going to wear full camis, top and bottom, no boots. That's hard as hell. 500 meters with that thing is no joke. But not going back to buds is eating me alive. Get over it. You made a bad decision, maybe, or you made the right decision. Who knows? You definitely need to quit living in the past. I'm thinking of DORing early from SARC. Man, that's the worst thing you could do. Knowing what you know, what would you go back? Well, here's the deal. Getting back to buds is harder than getting through buds the first time. So it's going to require a lot of things to go in your way, and becoming a second DOR is not one of them, right? I mean, why not bust your ass through the SARC pipeline, learn some really good skills, and if you can't do a lateral back, finish off your enlistment, get out, and rejoin. I mean, that's another way, or maybe go Army SF or something. But I mean, if it's eating you up that much, my advice at first is one, get over it because you made a bad decision when stress was really high. Or you're a second phase buds pool comp, so maybe it was just lack of performance. Like you didn't quit, you just I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming you didn't quit and you just failed the standards. I understand that eating you up versus, quitting during Hell Week or something. Um that the speech I was just giving you is really more designed for that guy who made a decision to leave versus didn't meet the standards. Um so I get that one being, a failure versus a quitting decision, right? So my advice is don't be a DOR. That's just no way to go. I think you'll find if you like medical stuff, you're going to love the SARC pipeline. Telling you. I mean, it's a good skill. Man, I know a lot of really smart guys that became, spec ops, independent duty corpsmen, IDCs, and, spec ops, basically doctors, and then they got out and were just killing it in the medical field. Um, maybe they were teaching TCCC or doing other things, but they just love their job. So if that's something you like, my advice is do it. Um, I just don't like recommending DORing to anybody. I think that is just not good for your record. And you can say to somebody like I DOR because I wanted to get back to buds, and people are going to look at you like you got three heads. Like, why would you do that? So anyway, talk to me on offline because I could go down a lot of rabbit holes on this one. But first of all, quit calling yourself bud stud because that's just you're not a bud stud, right? If you think you are, you are. So quit thinking that way. Followed your book and went to EOD. First quarter 22 dive mode was taken away. My Class was defunded, cutting 80 students. Should I give EOD a second try or try CTWTO? I don't know, man. I would say if you want to do EOD, give it a second try. I mean, those things happen. I remember back in 22, like they had some like 0 graduates from some buds classes. So yeah, give it a shot. Maybe they need you now. I don't know. Yeah, that's what I would do. Try it, and if that doesn't work, try the other option. Had a question. I'm back running outside after a month and a half. Was using a treadmill, hiding from the cold. my calves are sore, but I'm not tired at all. Good. I mean, the calisthenics book that you have here, I'm glad you like it. Is a good one to just keep you in shape. And if you have to use the treadmill because there's ice on the road and it's just freezing ass cold, hey, I get it. We run in like 20-degree air, but if there's ice on the road, we'll go indoors. Just because the last thing I want to do is have people slipping on dark, icy roads. Because you will hurt yourself. I'm a testament to that one this year. I slipped on ice and tweaked my back like nobody's business, and still hurts from 8 days ago. But I'd say it's about 75-80% better now. Let's see. I did not DOR double tapped open circuit test. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I didn't think you DOR'd when you told me you're a second phase pool comp guy. So my conversation probably is going to be change a little bit because of your sweat equity in the buds program. Though I never recommend anybody DORing a program to get back to somewhere else. That's just something I just don't do. I just don't think it's a good idea because it doesn't really set you up for success. Now you've failed 2 programs. Should I stretch more for it to go away? I don't want to stop running. Yeah, it's just you got to think what's happening when you're using a treadmill. The treadmill is the ground is moving under you. So the treadmill's doing a lot of running work for you. And when you get off of the treadmill and you start running on ground that doesn't move under you, you're using muscles that you haven't had to use for a month and a half. So it'll go away in a few weeks. But stretch, absolutely. You should be stretching anyway. Make sure you don't blow off mobility days. You guys got any more questions? Had a good question the other day. Let me see if I can find it. I think I wrote an article on it. Somebody sent it in by email. And by the way, if you forget what your question is whenever you're here on the live, and then you remember, just email me, stu@stewsmith.com, or you can DM me on my Instagram, or just use the comment section of this video as well. Okay, I remember what it was. In fact, somebody asked about ocean lifeguarding, and I wrote a full article on continuing service as an older guy. In fact, I'll share this article with you. I'll go to military.com. So this is a really good question because I get this a lot. And this one is called How Military Veterans Can Train to Continue Serving Their Communities. So this is a uh, Air Force firefighter who now wants to be a California lifeguard. After 20 years of Air Force firefighting service. So in there, the Air Force has DOD firefighters, or they have DOD firefighters, but they also have firefighting specialists that are military. So they have DOD civilians as well as military firefighting specialists, and that's their job. They live on a flight deck and they put out fires of planes if they crash. So good gig, and they also do some local like base help, base accidents and things like that. So they're firefighters, and now they're going to go serve. And this one is a 20 year firefighter and wants to go um, hit it with a career, hit a new career with Southern California lifeguarding, which is very competitive. And if you look at this article, you'll see you got 1,000-meter swim in under 18 minutes. But some of those beaches like San Diego all the way up to LA County are beautiful beaches that are very competitive. You're going to be doing run swim runs. You're going to be doing other calisthenics tests, load bearing, stretcher carry, body drags, ocean rescues. So it's really a tough business, and you got to be really good at swimming. So I would say, to the guy that asked about ocean lifeguarding, Navy SEAL, Air Force PJ workouts are ideal for that because there's life-saving components in all of those, as well as all the running and swimming and calisthenics that you need. That was a fun article to write because I did a little research on the lifeguarding. In fact, we had a couple of ocean lifeguards in our buds class that did really well, became SEALs. So you can go both ways. You can do your military service and become a lifeguard, or you can become a lifeguard, do military service. It's a great way to serve. And if you like that kind of water on the Pacific beach, which is incredible, it's a good life. All right. Might even be able to take up surfing while you're out there. All right. You guys got any more questions? I'm going to wrap this up if you don't. If you guys, if I missed your question, I apologize. I'll scroll through them again to make sure I didn't miss them. But you can always email me, stu@stewsmith.com, and check out stewsmithfitness.com. All these articles I'm mentioning are up there, as well as over on military.com fitness center. And sticking around this long, I appreciate it. You can save 15% over at stewsmithfitness.com. So, yeah, I don't see any new articles. Anybody want to throw something up there real quick? Because I'm done talking, unless you guys got a question. So just give you a heads up real quick. Tomorrow we'll have another one of these, 9:30 a.m. East Coast time, and I will share some swimming videos, maybe some underwater swimming. I've been coaching some underwater swimming. In fact, had a few Navy divers that are prepping for their future dive course. And here's a new workout I came up with. I'll probably write an article on it because this is a really good one, especially if you're preparing for over-unders. So you're in the deep end if you're at a pool that has a shallow and deep end. If you have a deep end continuous, it doesn't really matter. But anyway, you started off with a 2-minute tread, no hands, treading. Or if treading is easy for you and bobbing is hard for you, you have to do a 2-minute bob, right? So just bobbing up and down off the bottom or treading no hands, your choice. That's your rest stroke, right? So the next thing you do, you're going to kick off the wall and you're going to swim 25 meters, other side of the pool, underwater. And the goal is try to do that in as few strokes as possible. So it's funny. I was showing all the guys today; they were hitting about 7, 8 strokes. I was saying, well, you can be more efficient. And they're like, how? I'm like, let me show you. So I showed them how to do it in 4 strokes, right? Which is just a really big double arm pull, really tight streamline, holding that glide, kick and recover, tight recovery, tight streamline, hold that glide. Next thing you know, you can do it in 3 or 4 even. I almost did it in 3 if I'd have been trying and didn't have board shorts on. Um, so the key to that is efficiency. So after you do that 25-meter underwater, you do 75 CSS or freestyle conditioning back to the deep end, because that's the way our pool's set up, back to the deep end. So you just did 100 yards, 25 under, 75 free or CSS. And now you rest like you started, either treading no hands for 2 minutes or bobbing. Or if you need to do both, you can bob for a minute, tread for a minute, either one. I will tell you this though, after swimming, and if you have a difficulty bobbing, you will find that requires a level of comfort that is great to train, or say a level of discomfort that you're going to experience. And you have to get comfortable with it really quickly. And it usually takes about 3 or 4 bobs before you're like, okay, I got a rhythm. I can do this. I can catch my breath now with this bob. That's the goal. So you can't ignore it. A lot of people like to practice treading because they're good at treading. And the reason why they're good at treading is because they're a little chubby and they're mostly floating, right? Like I was working with a guy, I was like, here, take this 10-pound brick. And he just sunk like a rock. I said, you're not treading, you're floating. So we got to work on your treading because it's not good, right? So, and his bobbing is really bad. So we gotta work on making sure he can get comfortable bobbing while he's in the process of losing some body fat, because he's got to get a little leaner or put on some muscle mass. Combo is probably the better idea. Muscle mass and uh, fat reduction. Muscle mass gain, losing some fat at the same time. That'd be ideal. Then it makes bobbing a lot easier. Will make treading a little harder. So as long as you know that going in, you got a full range of motion on your kick that is giving you 100% power production down. So you go up, we're solid. Let's see. Alan says, I messaged you about moving from San Diego to where you are to train. I'm just applying to jobs nearby hospitals. Is there a hospital emergent room close to by the park you work out at? Um, Closest hospital is Annapolis. So if you can find a job in Annapolis, Maryland, there's a great hospital there. I would definitely look there. And that's about 5 minutes away from the Naval Academy, about 10 minutes away from where we train at Severna Park. So somebody says, if you serve the U.S. military, you are fighting for Israel's interest. Well, I wouldn't say that. I'd say you're fighting for U.S. interests. So, do those two align with each other? More so than not. But, you know, if you're going to be like free Palestine on me, you know, that's two different stories, right? Hamas, Hezbollah need to go. Palestine, Palestinians in Gaza, they need to do a better job at not indiscriminately bombing and doing it should be a spec ops mission now. CIA spec ops style mission, taking out all those terrorists one by one versus bombing, the kids there. So I'm kind of borderline on that one. I don't think we need to be bombing the hell out of Gaza. I don't really get into politics much, so let's not go there, and we'll move on and call it quits today. But if put it this way, if let's say a neighboring country to Mexico, right, invades Mexico, kills a whole bunch of people, and goes back to their little country, right south of them, that would be an act of war, right? And I would expect that country to be bombed ridiculously. That's what happened. Unfortunately, it is a mess with civilian population basically are human shields for the terrorists there. And there's no easy way to do that. My advice would be to flood all those tunnels, get your hostages out, get all your hostages out, flood those tunnels, and you know be done with it, and hunt them down one by one. This may take you know how the Israelis hunted down Nazis after um, World War II for decades. That's essentially what this should be, because you can't just bomb schools and hospitals and not have an international uh, issue occur. So no easy answer there, but I'm not going to solve it here sitting on my fitness podcast. So I don't go there very much. Yeah, not not a president. No, thank you. I am a equal opportunity politician hater. I pretty much hate them all because they sell their soul every time they they do something or want to stay in office. Oh yeah, we definitely need to protect our border, 100%. But it's been a problem for decades. It's just been more so in the last 10 years. So definitely they need to. That's why I hate politicians, because it's a political issue. So hey, look, I don't like talking politics. So let's just stop. I'm going to shut you down right now because this is not a politics show, and this is definitely not my forte. I have my opinions that I don't necessarily think I need to share. So go to you. Yep, Tom's right. All puppies, no politics. If you go to my Facebook page, I just share pictures of my dog, and my hashtag is all puppies, no politics, especially during political years. So, all right, folks, I'm done. I got to get stuff done here, get back to work. I appreciate your time sticking around. Um, Live 1-5 saves 15% over at Stu Smith Fitness. I appreciate it. If you need programming over there, that's where you find it. I will chat with you guys later. You guys have a good one.